All right, so we're going to be talking about cloud computing. And remember, it takes 10 to 50% of the MS900 when we talk about cloud concepts. And I think that when you have a good understanding of cloud computing, it makes it so much more easier to understand the three other sections. So let's get started. So let's imagine you have this big, beautiful house, and you're still deciding how exactly you want to add electricity to it. Well, one plan you could definitely do is you can build your own power plant generator to produce your own electricity. But there's three problems that arises from that. Number one, it costs a lot of money because you need to buy a lot of resources. Number two, you need to constantly maintain your power plant generator, so it's going to take a lot of time. And number three, even if you find yourself not using the electricity, you're going to continue to need to pay for that power plant generator to run. So there's just so many things you have to take care of whenever you own your own power plant generator. So what is a more practical solution to add electricity to this house? Well, you can get your own electricity by using an electric company's own power plant generator. I mean, for one thing, they already have the resources there. They already have tons of workers that are maintaining that power plant generator. And three, you pay for what you use. So let's say that you go off on a holiday and you didn't use your electricity for that house for 1 month. Well, for that one particular month, you don't have to pay for the electricity, right? So that's what makes it very elastic. You just simply pay for what you use. Now, this same exact situation is essentially how cloud computing works, except in the context of computers. Cloud computing is about getting your computing service by using other people's server on the internet. When I say computing services, I'm talking about any services that you do on your computer. For example, if you need to have more storage on your files, you need to have more storage to store your files and getting it on demand, you can use the website OneDrive. If you want to watch videos, you can use YouTube. If you want to interact with friends or family, you can use social media such as Facebook or Twitter. And whenever someone talks about what a server is, all that is another computer that provides data to other computers. Now I understand this definition still may be confusing, so I'm going to give you guys a real life example of how cloud computing works. Okay, so again, let's imagine that you want to be able to have the service where you can actually store a lot of your files and access it on demand. What you could do is you can decide to buy a lot of servers on your own area. So have a lot of servers and install it in your own area. But again, three problems. It costs a lot of money because you have to buy the resources. Number two, you got to constantly maintain those servers. And number three, even if you find yourself not using those storage servers, you're going to continue to need to pay for it. So there's a lot of things that you have to take care of. So the practical solution is that you get your storage service by using a cloud computing provider's own server. So you can see that this is the cloud computing's and this is all their servers on the internet. Right? So it works the same exact way. So like why should you actually, do all the work of buying the resources, maintaining it, and still paying money for it when you could just simply leverage on a cloud computing provider's own server that's already there, that's already being maintained, and plus you pay a fraction of the cost. So going back to that analogy, if we have this client over here, we can imagine this being the house, and we can imagine the cloud computing provider's own server as the electric company's own power generator, right? It works the same exact way. So all we're doing, and I'm going to go back inside there, is that we're just using or getting our computing services by using other people's servers on the internet. So who exactly are the giants that are running cloud computing? So what we call them are known as cloud computing providers. And all that means is that they're companies that provide services on their own servers. And I also want to hit this really hard, is that there's so many different types of services that we're going to talk about later, right? I just talked about software services. So things such as OneDrive, YouTube, social medias, right? Those are services you can certainly get on your server, but there's also services where you can simply rent the servers from the actual cloud computing providers on the internet to use it for whatever use cases that you want to do. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we're going to talk about that later. So just know essentially that these companies are just providing their own services on their own servers. And the reason why I particularly got this image is because I want to give you guys a real look of what's happening in the back parts. What you're seeing right now is called a data center. And all a data center is a building that houses a lot of servers for a particular company. So right now, you're seeing like tons of service over here that's ready to be consumed by clients and ready to provide computing services. So who exactly are these cloud computing providers? Well, they're companies such as Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, AWS. And again, that just means that they have data centers all around the world full of servers that's ready to provide computing services for you, so you don't have to think about the hardware or maintaining it or just paying a lot of money overall of owning your own hardware.